Yeah, forever.
Welcome to Your Only Friends, where friendship is first, but comedy is always. I'm your host, Jared Dykas. This is a reminder, we are your only friends. On episode 40 of Your Only Friends today, we have a solo episode, the third in all 40 episodes that we shot will now be a solo episode, and I'm calling this episode Lessons I Didn't Ask to Learn. If you've been watching my style of content or this YouTube account or Your Only Friends, you know I'm really big on documentation, and that the whole reason I really started the show is not because I think I am this phenomenal stand-up comedian, Conan O'Brien type of character. It's actually because I'm in love with the process of building who I am and documenting greatness, if that makes sense. That made me sound like LeBron James. Like I think I'm going to be LeBron. That's not really what I'm going for here. This episode is, okay, I had an idea like most people do. Oh, I want to start a podcast. Oh, I want to do a food truck. Oh, I want to open a janitorial sanitation business. But I did that idea, and I did that idea for a year and a half so far, trying to put out weekly episodes every Friday at 5 p.m. In this beautiful studio, bringing together comedians, business owners, influencers, entrepreneurs, whoever my friends are, for just an authentic conversation. I remember starting the show, not really sure what direction it was going to go into. I originally started Your Only Friends as a play on You Are Your Only Friend. Because at that point in my life, I felt like I was truly my only friend, and I needed to go deeper on what it means to be a friend. And so through the progression of these 40 episodes, I am not recording this episode as a, we won, we did it, we're at 150 subscribers, everyone else can screw off now. That's not what this is, because I think we're still at 149 subscribers even right now, which is not good. What this episode of Lessons I Didn't Ask to Learn is about is the documentation of my mindset right now as a 28-year-old kid recording a podcast, 40 episodes deep. Let's see what the future holds, but let's also go back on the history of Your Only Friends and see what we can learn from the past. See what we can learn from the past. So, lesson one, something that I wish I knew before starting this podcast is no one gives a shit. No one gives a fuck about your logo. No one cares about the style, the fonts, the colors. Barely people care who I have on the podcast. I could have on Osama bin Laden and it's not going to change anything. Okay, no, that would probably change if I had a reincarnated Osama bin Laden. That would change some things. I could get some more subscribers. But no, what I really mean by this is no one cares. Everyone has their own life. As interesting as I think this studio is, as interesting as I think that person sitting across the desk from me is, there's bigger problems, there's bigger things going on in the world right now than a comedy scene in St. Petersburg or a comedy scene from one person's perspective in a micro influencer town like St. Pete, Tampa. No one cares about that, right? So when I first started the show, I thought everyone was going to care about the logo. I thought everyone was going to care about the clips. And like, I can't believe you said that. How could you say that you like blue cheese more than ranch, like no one cares. And so I think that's actually the biggest gift in it all, is because my first couple episodes, including right now, episode 40, still so young in the journey. This is like this is my third solo episode. This is a creative expression into a void almost. Like at most this will get 80 views. And that would be like a great first week for the solo episode. And I'd be surprised if we got 80 views. But when you set yourself up to drop weekly episodes every Friday at 5 p.m. like I did, the only way to remove the pressure of like having the final product to always be like this cool ass fucking thing was to realize that no one really gives a shit. If it cuts when we get in here and I look too white, I look like a freaking Jack Snow right now, or Jack Frost, the snowman with this light, and I'm so white. And when I step outside to go to the grocery store, I get sunburnt and I start peeling. Like it doesn't matter, No one gives a shit. I'm really doing this and not even thinking about who's watching, and that's freeing. That's freeing for me, because not only is this a creative expression of comedy and stand up and trying to go deeper on some of these aspects of my life, but hopefully even if there's like one person that's like, oh shit, I could do something like this too, then hey, maybe that was a worthwhile journey. Maybe the friends that we were looking for along the way were really just the solo episodes in the studio. Maybe that. I don't think so. I think we have a lot more friends to come, and that this is simply a moment in time where I'm documenting. Lesson 2, consistency beats talent. I didn't start this podcast because I think I'm the funniest person in town. I didn't start this podcast because I think that by episode 100, I'll be at where Joe Rogan is. I started this podcast as almost a daily accountability to myself and my own journey to try to keep these relationships authentic, these stories authentic, and most importantly, show up consistently. Like, this is a part of my life now. I've worked this whole week. I'm in my real estate brokerage. I'm sending out listing agreements. I'm talking to people about marketing proposals. But I still want to find time to come in here and talk about nonsense, And that consistency, it got me 150 subscribers, of which I probably would have maybe 20 if I wasn't so consistent and put out 40 episodes. I mean, it took us about 25 to 30 episodes until we actually got Maddie Smith on, who's a huge New York City comedian on MTV's Wild 'N Out. It's our most popular episode. If you haven't watched it, watch it. But even like after we got her on, it like doubled our subscribers. We were at like 67 subscribers when I was talking to Maddie Smith. And I don't think Maddie said yes because she thinks I'm the funniest person in this area. I think someone close to her was like, hey, here's a podcast. And then, it's consistent. We're showing up. When I say I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here. It's almost like hosting an open mic every Wednesday or every week, and you're showing up with new material for that mic, it's the same thing with when I'm interviewing a guest. Like it puts me in a spot to where I reflect on my own life. I'm reflecting on others people's lives, and that consistency is the energy that like keeps me going. It's not about every episode being an absolute banger, because I know there are some absolute banger episodes, but some of them were just stories or context or laughter or whatever the case may be. They might not be right up your alley. But those episodes, each and every single one of them, got us to this point, which is episode 40. So in many ways, I'm grateful for that. And there's no shortcut, in my opinion, to building a podcast or a show. Like, yeah, we could have went more viral. Yeah, I could have got different guests. Yeah, I could have talked about politics more, money, different taglines or things that would have brought attention. But that's not why I started this. The reason why I started Your Only Friends wasn't really to go viral. It was more to document, like I said. And you know, that's not that exciting. Like, talent is sexy. If I was just undeniably the funniest person in the world, this would be a lot easier of a podcast. Luckily, I'm only 2.5, 3 years into stand-up comedy, and I have a lot more time to get better. But even like hosting on this show and showing up consistently has gotten me better. You know, there's people out there who are probably there are people out there who are way more deserving of an episode or a podcast series like Your Only Friends than Jared Dykas. There are a lot of people that need podcasts. I don't necessarily need one right now. I don't have people knocking down my door trying to hear my thoughts, and I'm glad about that right now, whatever. But knock up soon. For real, I'll be there. I'll be there to give you my thoughts. But yeah, there are people more funny than me, more talented than me. But I just plan to do this for the long. You know, like, this is something that I really, really, really want to continue to build, and that's why I'm documenting it. That's why I'm talking about it. Lesson 3, the best moments are usually unplanned. So when I first started the show with Sean Guest as episode 1, I had a whole entire catalog of items that I was going to go over with the guests. So we had like different sections of the 1 second. We had different sections of the show where we were going to do like little mini series, rapid fire questions, Q&A type stuff. And what I realized from talking to an anomaly like Sean Guest is that some of the best moments, you can't really script them, or like you're not going to just ask a question and then boom, punchline. Like that's the clip, right? And so Sean made me kind of realize in that first episode, even though I came in planned with it, that authentic conversations is the things that is really most important. And more than trying to go viral, right? Like, I could have tried to go viral and say some controversial stuff or keep things in the podcast episodes that we cut out for clicks. But I'd rather base it around just authenticity. I'd rather base it around authenticity. And it's kind of, it's true in life too, right? Like, the best moments are usually unplanned. Think about any spontaneous moment in your life. How great was that? unless it was spontaneously bad, like when I got totaled, my car totaled 2 weeks ago, and I showed up to my parked car and it looked like a microwave. That was not a good unplanned moment. But when you let spontaneous things happen, when you just get the vibes right, sometimes you just let God or life or whatever you believe in just guide you, and what needs to happen will happen. So I don't put too much pressure on things anymore. Like, I always used to put pressure on trying to create the perfect moment, or the perfect setup. And now I'm just like, let's just take action. Let's just get into momentum. Let's just get into moving forward. And that has helped me. Also, disclaimer, I am not doing this podcast episode because Your Only Friends is the #1 podcast in the world. I also am very, very grounded in the fact that we only have 150 subscribers, 149 and counting, and we are not even close to where we will be one day. I'm doing this again because what happens when you come into the studio to do a solo episode, spontaneous things happen. Even if 30 seconds of this I can look back on 30 years from now, I'll be grateful that I spent 30 minutes in here to record this episode. Instincts, man. Like, instincts and energy mean a lot. And I'll leave that at there because I'm not really going to get into that. Lesson 4, dude, is like, just like listening. When I started this podcast, I already had a pretty good idea of this ideology of be interested, not interesting. Like, I can't tell you how many guests I have on the podcast, and then afterwards they're like, oh, Jared, I feel bad. I just talked all over you. Like, no, dude, when you have 30 years of comedy experience, I don't want to say anything. Like, I want to sit back and let you rip and just learn as much as possible, which really is like just as important as being interesting, if that makes sense. Like, I'm just thinking back to an episode with Jander Gray. This is someone who has years and years and years of experience in stand-up comedy, and his love for the art of comedy was something that stood out to me and helped me along my journey. And I didn't get that from even asking questions. I got that from just having a conversation and letting things roll. But if I wasn't listening to what like Jander was saying, what DC Benny was saying about finding your voice and how he thinks a headliner is really someone who's 7-8 years into comedy already, you know, these are valuable perspectives or lessons. And although I'm talking them out right now, I had to listen, you know, to the guest and not, I think like it's hard as a host when you have someone sitting over there and they're ranting, but it's a really good rant and they're on that divine energy, right? And you think of something to say, but now they're still ranting, and you got to just sit there and quietly wait for them to shut up so that you can interject them and talk to them about something that they talked about 2 minutes ago. Like, rather than just listening to them and word for word hearing what they're saying. It's not only on a podcast, guys. It's like relationship stuff, life stuff, partner stuff. Like, how God gave us one of these and two of these. Like, we all heard that, right? Right? So I think listening is important. Obviously. Like, I never came into this podcast studio and always was like, had some fancy trick up my sleeve to get to get the show going. Like, it wasn't like that. It was more just surrendering almost to the guest, and just like John Jacobs, for example. I thought he was going to bring the mask when he brought the mask on episode 38, but I did not realize what the mask would mean. I did not realize the tangents he would go on in the mask, and I was not prepared for that. However, that is one of those episodes where I do get text messages from my friends and people who watch, and they're like, oh, dude, I wish John Jacobs had more time. Right? And I'm so glad I didn't interject him to be like, what do you think about, like, all the time? And I just let him rant about what he wanted to rant about. So listening is important. Early on, I felt, and I have this documented, like, I felt really a lot of pressure to always be like a performer and like this energetic, enthusiastic, charismatic person. Like, I had a podcast when I was 18 years old, and that person, 18 versus 28 right now, it's like you would have thought the 18-year-old version of me was on like Adderall times 12 compared to how I am now. And so, like, that pressure that I felt early on, I don't really feel anymore. And that's because also, going back to like the first lesson of just like consistency and getting started and how no one cares, that's the beauty of it all. The reasons why I started this a year and a half ago is not the same reasons why I keep doing the podcast. And I think that's beautiful. Because a year and a half ago, I thought I was my only friend. And 40 episodes later, I realized that's not a great way to live your life, where you think you are your only friend. And that's why we created Your Only Friends, to give people a second home or a friend group that they didn't even know that existed, to make them feel like they have friends, even though you guys are a bunch of losers and you have no friends, right? So I'm kidding. But like, episode 1, I was just thinking, oh, I'm doing a comedy podcast. And now episode 41, it's like, dude, I'm creating legacy. No. No, but episode 41, whoever that is, or maybe it's another solo, God forbid, it just keeps it moving. It just, episode 41, whatever's after this, it has a lot of different meaning than it did a year and a half ago. And at some points in my life, I felt crippled by Your Only Friends, because I'm doing it consistently, because I'm doing it every Friday at 5 p.m. We're dropping. I felt rushed. I felt unplanned. I felt unorganized. Okay, I want to acknowledge something. For the past probably 5 minutes on this podcast, I had to go pee so bad that only a couple of my brain cells were working, and the other brain cells, they were in panic. It was like they were Black Friday shopping and they were trying to go to the bathroom. And so a lot of that was divine peeism, Like, you know what I mean? Like when you have to go pee so bad that you just start getting divine thoughts, you know? So, that was divine peeism. And now I'm back. I guess what I would like to close out with is Your Only Friends is not in these 4 or 5 walls. It's more than that. It's the shows that we do through Friend Zone Comedy. I just want to talk about this for a second. So because of this show, I've been able to expand my network, but I want to explain tactically what that means. So through this show, I wind up interviewing, thanks to Kenny Garcia, my new favorite comedian, Lance Weiss. And this was like a year ago. I'm sitting down with Lance. We're dying. You know, it's a great episode. That episode ends. But me and Lance started doing shows together. I started traveling with Adam to different places around Florida, do shows with him. All the way up until previous Thanksgiving in South Jersey, I had Lance Weiss come to the fucking Landy, which is the landmark in Glassboro, New Jersey. And we threw the first hometown hee-hee, which was a comedy show for my high school friends. And all of that would not have happened without Your Only Friends. Even that one little relationship led me into the Funny Bone just a couple weeks ago, seeing Lance feature for TJ Miller, who's freaking Mr. Hollywood. And I got to chill with TJ Miller for an hour and a half in the green room after the show and ask him all these questions. And yeah, it wasn't recorded, but dude, that guy means so much to me and my journey. And when I started watching him on Silicon Valley right after some detrimental stuff happened in my life and I was like rebuilding my personality, like, dude, I can't buy that kind of access. I'm sure I could ask people like, hey, I gotta meet you, but it's not the same. It's not authentic. It's not happening purposefully. And so more than a show, if all of my 150 subscribers got deleted tomorrow, if all of the episodes got deleted, no one would really skip a beat, or not skip a beat. It would be fine. But what would be still here is the network of Your Only Friends and my vision for building a comedy brand and my vision for producing my own shows, hosting my own open mics. Who knows what's next? This is only episode 40, and I'm really grateful to be in the position that I'm in. That's not something that you hear me say much if you're a close friend of mine. Sometimes I get negative about this situation that I'm in or the position that I'm in. But being here in the studio, being surrounded by millions of fans, you know, it's all worth it. Or at least I think it is. And that's why I'm going to keep doing these episodes. That's why I'm going to keep hopping in the stew and bringing you some authentic, real relationships and conversations between comedians, between friends, between business partners. This is it. You know, we are your only friends. And yeah. I don't really got much else that I've learned. I think I actually got dumber from starting the show, now that I think about it. I actually take back everything I said. kidding. No, in all seriousness, just to recap some lessons. No one gives a shit. Consistency matters. The perfect moment. You can't script it. Why you start something is not the reason you're going to continue doing it. And the power of a network is really how I would boil down this whole episode. Sorry if this wasn't too funny. Sorry if this was too much context or what you have. I just really, really wanted to learn something about myself and sit down with myself and say, hey, Jared, what have you thought of the first 40 episodes? That's, if we did 30-minute episodes, you know, it's a long time. 40 times 30 minutes. I don't have my calculator or my right brain in front of me, so I'm not going to try to figure that out. But yeah, it's a lot of time, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Leave us a comment, like. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Spotify, we're on all the things. So keep following along. Hopefully one day, maybe I'm talking to you. If not, you can always message me. I'm Jared Dykas. And thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for a lot more exciting stuff to come.